We've got Bitcoin firm. Let's bring in Scott Bauer, Prosper Trading Academy CEO. All right, Scott, let's talk a little bit about this little ramp we got into the close. First, as equities are trying to make a stand, do you think this is a good way to close out the week? Is it a big deal? Should we read into it?
You know, I think it's a very big deal, actually, because we had seen, the markets really kind of head lower maybe an hour and a half ago or so, and kind of looked like, another Friday kind of end of week, people not wanting to put risk on going into the weekend. I think there's a decided difference right now and a little bit of optimism. And what really kind of tipped me off earlier, though, Oliver, is even as the market was just kind of meandering a little bit, as up, down, VIX was never really elevated. And the VIX is now trading at the lowest levels that we have seen basically since the pandemic started. So, there's really some optimism out there. It is surprising to me that we're seeing the NASDAQ rally, not so much, the S&P and the Dow, but it is a little bit surprising to me. And I think that is very, very bullish, actually. And barring any big increase in the TNX in the 10-year here, this could really be the start of a nice recovery back in the NASDAQ.
I think it's pretty important that the NASDAQ is shaking off that sell-off in bonds today, because as 10-year yields went back to the highs of the session, the NASDAQ went to the lows. Bonds went down and Qs went down, to your point about an hour ago. And then all of a sudden just they started running the other way. So if that type of breakage can hold, then it's really important. I will point out it's also basically coming all from the chips, which are generally the more economically sensitive ones.
No doubt about it. I mean, Micron, and especially ahead of the earnings for next week, making a nice run into the end of the day here. But I think what we're starting to see overall with that correlation between rates and the NASDAQ space is, yes, that shock and awe maybe is subsiding a little bit of seeing, the 10-year at 160, 165, maybe 170, that, okay, yeah, it's going to hit this space, but now people are a little bit more accepting of it. And it's, kind of the psychological downdraft, if you will, is ebbing a bit.
Okay. Well, it seemed stock selling was the best way to get bond yields lower. So I guess we still have to test to see where those yields go if stocks start rallying again. Scott, what about Bitcoin? Let's go there next. I think the chart finally got a little bit more interesting in Bitcoin this week, as we did crack some of the support, but didn't really get much follow through. What's your view here on how we're trading just below 54,000?
When you look technically, Oliver, if you look at the 20-day moving average. Now, I as a little bit longer term trader, I like to look at the 50 and the 200-day. But if you look technically at the 20-day moving average going back to October, this thing is held as massive support. It did break through there briefly back in late January and just recently, but just briefly, and really, really held as support there. The 50-day moving average is way down at, I shouldn't say way down, it's not that far, but down at 46.5, which would break through that psychological level of 50,000. But what we have seen is these whales continue to come in on sell-offs. Is that going to stop? I don't know, but the charts still, to me, are pretty bullish overall, given that these technical levels have really held as support. Now, something that you may see today, some of the reason for this rally today could be this massive, massive options expiration, which is happening. $6 billion worth of Bitcoin options expiring today. That was not decidedly, but there was an advantage up to the bullish side of those options expiring. That could put some pressure on that to the upside for right now as well.
I see. So what, dealers having to buy some Bitcoin options?
Exactly. But this is just a massive expiration. The fact that at least what I'm seeing right now, that there wasn't a lot of rolling out of these options here, tells me there's going to be a lot of new money at play coming into the space. Okay.
Now, what also I think is maybe notable this week, I don't want to jinx it, but I got to say, for the first time in a long time, I'm looking at gold and feeling like maybe it's got a little something going here, Scott. It's been months since I've thought about this thing, from a positive perspective.
It has really, if you look at the charts, it has really kind of flattened out. It has really leveled out, consolidated, which is typically the precursor from a big move. So this area that we've been trading at here, 1720, 1730, right in that range there, that was the lower end of prior resistance back last May, last June. So much to your point here, the fact that it's really, with some decent volume put in, this consolidation here, I agree with you. I think we get a nice rebound here. Now, we could fall, and the next level below would be down at 1650. I think we see a rebound soon up to about the 1775 level.
So with 1775, thinking about potential rebound, I think to your point here, the consolidation is being the first step, right? We haven't really gotten the follow through yet. So trading it to the upside here is in anticipation of this chart turning back bullish, where right now maybe it's just stop being bearish for the moment.
It absolutely could be. But when you see this consolidation, which you don't see often, again, it's the precursor typically of a big move one way or the other. I would play it to the upside here.
Hey, Scott, since Bitcoin and gold have been so inversely related over the past 6 months, do you think we should look for Bitcoin weakness if gold does start to rally?
You may start to see that. Yeah. I mean, if that correlation or reverse correlation holds that what we've seen over the 6 months or the last 6 months, we could see some pressure in Bitcoin, though. I do think technically, though, that chart still says very positive.
Okay. Scott Bauer, good stuff. Thank you, sir. Have a great weekend. Hey, there you go. All right.
Gotcha.
Scott's the CEO of Prosper Trading Academy.